Hello, chess friends. I'm going to continue my bot challenge with chess.com with another intermediate bot. This one is named Maxim. He's the same rating as the last intermediate bot that I faced. And so we'll see how it goes. We'll go challenge mode. Hopefully get 3 stars, random color, and play. Okay, d4. I think I'll respond with solid d5. So bishop f4. Okay, let's play this move. Against this, we have getting the bishop out. Bishop g4. If bishop interposes, I'll take the bishop on e2. If he comes out with a knight, then I'll play a move like e6, continuing my development. Queen to c1. I'm not quite sure what the... Oh, I see. The ideas will be, I assume, c4. Okay, let's play normal developing moves. And we can castle next. However, there's no harm in this position in developing another piece before castling. That if e5, the knight could potentially go to b4. I'm sorry, b5 and harass my queen. In this case, I can bring the queen here. Where would the knight go then? If white supports the knight, with e5, a4, then I can push the knight back with c6. Knight moves back to c3, and then a queen takes pawn, rook to b1. That's not good for me. And I'll lose this pawn back here in return. So I think we'll just prevent that. However, if a6, he can respond with c4 right away. Pawn takes, knight takes. Yes, 2 pawns in the center. Then queen e7. But on c4, the knight is also putting pressure on e5, restricting my advancement e5. So I think in this case, we'll play c6, aiming towards e5. I could now, since his queen is blocking a c-pawn, I could now play a move like b5 if I wanted to be aggressive. However, I'll just play conservative, and I could castle right away, but what's the hurry? He doesn't seem to have any threats right now. He blocked himself from his own pawn break. I can break in the center right away. e5, if pawn takes, knight takes pawn. Queen b3. Queen c7. Then queen comes here, stopping me from castling to the king side. Yeah, okay, let's castle first. This move is definitely a mistake. He's weakening the light squares around on the king side. May not make that much of a difference if his plan is to castle queen side. However, the move does waste the temple, and I can just break in the center right away. Now I'm looking for a plan of action for my knight. Pawn takes, knight takes, centralizing his knight. This gives his knight access to f5 square, where he can go directly with his queen anyway. It will cut down on his activity if I just push past. The way to challenge his pawn after losing tempo with his queen would be a later f3, but in that case, this pawn will become weak. And before he can prepare f3, I'll have a rook on this file. Another plan is to play c5 immediately. But that allows, once again, his knight to come into this square. I don't like that idea. So let's go this way. Now it's a weakness on his third rank, the square right here. I could plan to get a knight there. If I can maneuver my knight to g5 before he plays h4, then my knight can sink itself into f3. I don't know if that's possible, though. How can a knight get to g5? Oh, I see. H6, H7, knight H7, H6, knight H7, but after knight H7, he can play here. But then the knight comes back to F6, and he's aiming for this square, where he can't be ejected easily. And that attack on that square would be followed by the queen coming over. So, in the meantime, well, he's not prepared to play F3 now anyway. This just drops a pawn. So, let's play H6. So right away, he gives me that square. So we're going to G4. G5, B5 with the threat of B4 will cause either this knight to go to an unpleasant square where it has no prospects, or this knight to return to where he's coming from. Let's sneak that move in. Okay. He allows the pawn fork. So the question is, if I fork his knight, can one of his knights attack a major piece like the queen or a rook? No. Therefore, this should win a piece. He plays that way. Okay. If I take this knight here, this knight will have access to the square. That will be annoying on my king side. So I prefer to take this knight here. If this knight wants to be adventurous, and he is playing adventurously, it comes in here. The queen should move and attack the knight at the same time. And then his position is difficult. So my idea is here, knight here attacking the queen, and then queen to B6 attacking the knight. What retreat squares does the knight have? I don't see any. Therefore, he basically defends the knight with his queen, also attacking this one. I support my knight this way. Then you have to defend his knight with a pawn, in which case pawn takes, en passant, knight goes back and takes the pawn. Then I bring this rook over to the b file, and I'm prepared for stopping the counterplay. So, okay, I'm not going to bother assessing that move. Let's support that knight there. So only so his rook can't come up another square. I don't think he's moved his king, so it is possible for him to still castle his king. However, if I attack this pawn on h2, He could not castle his king, but that would hang my pawn there. So instead, let's support this pawn first. Well, let's support it with a pawn. And then a pawn takes, a pawn threatens. We'll let that sit there because we're going to be recapturing with another pawn. And then my rook will be free to do something else. Now I castle. Okay. I'm looking at a sacrificial idea. This knight comes here. Pawn takes. Knight here. Threatening to fork the king and the queen. However, if the queen takes pawn, I can't escape with my queen with tempo. So let's instead bring this rook here. I have to look at the time. Time is getting late. And so I can't allow my knight to be kicked out. This situation, I was going to play pawn takes pawn, but that allows the rook to come up and defend g3. Instead, I have his wishes up, which is queen takes g3 check. And now, after queen takes queen, knight takes pawn. Which rook do I want to take? I'm going to take this rook over here. So after retakes with the rook, I could take here, but that'll be picked up. So, oh, I have this. I didn't see that. That pawn is very weak, though. Therefore, let's support this pawn first. I have a nice centralized knight. I always tell my students 3 kinds of pieces love the center squares: pawns, knights, and queens. I'm not sure what my last move was, but this is now available. And the knight is trapped. Let's keep the key out. Just make sure the king always has a square to dance on, so there's no stalemate. The king can dance on the f6 and g5 squares. So I want to corral. This knight is corralled. So I want to pick it up with the rook here. I think that does the job. Picks up the knight, which is corralled. In fact, let's put the king in jail too. Before I capture the knight, if I put the rook here, the king can dance on g5 and f6. However, the knight is attacking my rook. if I move my king up here, the knight captures a rook. No, that gives up squares. Then my rook can't finish him off because he now has the f4 square to escape to. So I just take the knight off. The king is still dancing on these two squares. Okay. And now it should be made into moves. Rook here. No, not yet. If I start, let me see, I've got a minute left, so I don't want to mess it up. Let's do this check here. If I take this pawn, it'll be check, stalemate. And so let's just move the king up here. He has a square to go to. Should go back to the square. And now is he yet out of squares? Okay, stalemate danger here. Let's push this up. And checkmate. Okay, I think I got over 90% in that game. Let me see the percentage. If there's any misses or mistakes or blunders, I'll check it out quickly. Don't want to spend much time analyzing games where the opponent is basically giving away all their pieces. There's not much to be learned there. Loose pieces drop off. LPDO. That's an old maxim from the pre-internet days. So I'm not quite sure what happened here. Here's the one. Okay, good. No blunders and no misses, I think. I clicked on the wrong board for some reason. I don't know where that came from. It's an extra board. Okay, over 90%. That's my standard. I said I had one miss. Could explore that in another video. However, just for the sake of time here, we'll look at it now. Your position is still winning, but you missed a fast checkmate. Okay, that's sort of irrelevant. But still, we'll see what the best move is. Missing a fast checkmate in a completely winning position, I don't think is relevant. Let's see the faster checkmate, though, for heuristic reasons.
This continues down the road to check.
Yeah, I was busy corralling the knight, which is technically an inaccuracy, but whatever. Okay. Thank you for watching. Hope this was informative for you. If so, please give a like. and subscribe for more content like this.